This first encounter has been shared by Brendan Fitzpatrick, an outdoorsman, bow hunter, and YouTuber known for documenting life in the woods and the ethics of hunting responsibly. Through his videos, he shares his experiences on leased land across the Midwest, offering viewers a glimpse into what it means to respect the wilderness and those who share it. But in this particular video, Brendan would find himself facing something far more dangerous than wildlife. It was early November 2022, a cold gray morning, the kind hunters know well. Brendan set out to bow hunt on one of his regular spots, a piece of land he and his family had leased for years. His camera was rolling as usual, meant to capture the stillness of the forest and the patience required for the hunt.
Out there right now. But I just want to show you kind of why we're here. I mean, we pay good money to hunt this property. We've been hunting it for years.
Moments later, movement flickers through the trees. A figure emerges from the shadows, moving deliberately. Brendan zooms in on the man, armed with an assault rifle. The calm rhythm of the footage fractures as the lens shakes briefly, before steadying on the man standing just a few yards away.
Do you live on this property right here? Sir, you're not listening to me. I'm not listening I just want to talk to you. I'm sorry.
Put your phone down.
You have an AR in front of me. I'm fucking scared.
Put your phone down.
Dude, I'm scared as fuck right now.
Okay, well, it's going to be more scary. Put your phone down. Are you attacking me?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I'm hunting. I'm hunting with...
Drop your fucking phone.
Oh, my God.
Drop your fucking phone.
Sir,
Listen to me. I don't give a fuck about that.
I'm bow hunting. I don't have any guns on me.
I don't give a fuck about none of that. I'm asking you to move. I'm asking you to look at me. You're on my fucking property. You got to motherfucking go. You're on my property, sir.
Okay,
Listen.
I'm packing
been
up.
here 8 years. You've never been here. Listen,
Can I come out there so we can talk?
Come on out.
Okay.
Don't touch. No.
I just have to move my chair.
Walk over it. Walk over it.
Okay.
Walk over it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck you are. My property.
What follows is tense, quiet, and unsettling. For minutes, the camera observes nothing but gestures and silent exchanges. The man appears steady but unsure, his presence commanding yet uncertain, while Brendan remains composed but visibly on edge. Both men, in their own way, are trying to establish their position, to convince the other of their right to be there. The air is thick with tension, each movement slow and deliberate, as though one wrong step could escalate the situation. In the end, the man with the assault rifle seems to gain the upper hand, his authority established through silent intimidation.
Children, and I'm reacting.
I completely understand. I understand.
That's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
The bows are fucking shooting.
The only reason we're here...
Who's we? Is there someone else here on the property?
No one else is here on the property, but we have four people on this lease who pay for this hunting property.
Understood.
The reason that we have this blind here is because, according to our Onyx, who shows us the survey lines, this is the property that we're legally allowed to hunt. We have permission from him to access from his property from our cornfield right there.
Understood.
And the rule is you're allowed to bow hunt within 125 feet of a residential dwelling.
Yeah.
So,
well, they don't make the laws for me. I got young children here, and
Understood.
I'm reacting as a father. So,
The encounter finally ends, with Brendan beginning to pack up his gear. The camera pans over his collapsed blind, the tree line now empty, the sound of the man's footsteps retreating through the forest, his movements fading into the distance. Brendan exhales, his breath visible in the cold air as he gathers his things.
you okay?
I wish you luck, my friend, but I don't shy, bien. You just can't be here, my man.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking.
All right.
All right?
All right. Can I get your name, sir?
No, you can't.
Okay. I understand. Out of respect, if I see you, I want to be able to communicate, you know?
I doubt we're going to run into each other.
The footage cuts to a moment of uneasy silence. The man, refusing to state his name, simply leaves, which is technically legal. What the video doesn't show, however, is what happened after the confrontation. Brendan reported the incident to local police and conservation officers, providing the footage as evidence, but no charges were filed. Authorities ruled it a misunderstanding, something to be brushed aside. A year later, it happened again. While Brendan's brother was out hunting on the same leased land, gunfire erupted from the neighboring property. Bullets screamed through the woods below his stand, cutting dangerously close to his position. For nearly an hour, he was forced to stay put, unable to move as rounds struck trees just feet away from him. Once again, law enforcement arrived, but still no charges. The situation had been ruled as another misunderstanding. Nothing changed. Today, Brendan and his family still lease the land, but they no longer hunt half of it. The danger is too close. The line between safety and peril has become too thin. For them, this was more than just an encounter caught on camera. It was a stark reminder that in the wilderness, fear doesn't always come from the dark. Sometimes it comes from the people who find you there. Now, from one unsettling encounter to another, we now venture into the woods with Greg Harris, where what seemed like a routine ride would quickly spiral into a terrifying moment of survival. The next video comes from Greg Harris, uploaded on February 14th, 2018. Shot entirely on a GoPro, it begins like thousands of harmless ATV rides do. A man cruising through forest trails, nothing unusual in sight. But that calm lasts only seconds. In a brutal flash, Greg's helmet jerks backward. His ATV stops dead. A wire, a thick metal wire, had been stretched tightly between two trees. A trap. One step lower, and it could have slit his throat. 1 inch higher, and it could have taken his head clean off. Greg was lucky, incredibly lucky, that speed and helmet placement saved his life. What's even more terrifying is that these traps aren't unheard of. Some people set them to keep riders off private property. Others do it out of anger or pure malice. And sometimes, the motive is nothing more than the desire to hurt someone for no reason at all. In Greg's case, the reason remains a mystery. But the message is clear. Someone wanted a rider to hit that wire. Greg survived with nothing more than a shaken heart and a warning for anyone who rides forest trails. Danger isn't always natural. Sometimes it's man-made. Just when you think the danger has passed, nature proves that even in its most serene settings, something unexpected can lurk in the shadows. And that takes us to Austin. Austin Armstrong is an adventurer known for challenging himself in ways most people would shy away from. His YouTube channel captures his spirit of exploration, pushing himself into unknown territory and testing his limits. But one particular camping trip to Patoka Lake, Indiana, would force Austin to confront a fear he never expected, and would change the way he viewed solo camping forever.
Hey guys, Woody here, and today I just decided to go camping. Now, as you can kind of sort of maybe see, it's kind of raining, but that's okay. I just went out in the middle of nowhere at this campground at Patoka Lake in Indiana. I'm the only one out here. Obviously, it's kind of cold and it's projected to get colder and it's raining, but I like a challenge whenever I camp, and I've camped in much worse weather conditions than this, so I figured, yeah, why not? So here's my little site right there, so I'm gonna make the most of what I have here and see what I can do with it.
Despite cold, rainy weather and the discomfort that came with it, Austin was determined to make the most of his solo camping trip. He saw the challenging conditions as part of the adventure. His mind was set. This was an opportunity to test his resilience in the face of adversity.
Even with the rain, here's my tent. I need to figure out how to set a fire in the wetness of what I have here. I moved this table. I'm probably gonna move it over there closer to the tent. So the tent over here is under let me just move. Under some trees. That'll protect it for the rain and stuff. I'm thinking maybe I can move the fire pit over here as well. That's underneath some of these trees. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier. But as you can see, like, there's nobody here, which is good. That's what I was looking for, just kind of getting away from everything. Well, I guess I can do a demonstration of how to start a fire when everything is wet, because I'm having some problems here.
When he arrived at the campground, an eerie silence greeted him. The campsite, usually a hub of activity, was completely deserted. There were no other campers, no voices in the distance, just the rustling of the wind and the steady patter of rain on the trees. It should have felt peaceful, but instead, it felt isolated. The silence was oppressive, as though the world had turned its back on him. Undeterred, he set up his tent under the shelter of a large tree to protect himself from the rain, but the unease never quite left him.
I think I did it. So I took some branches and stuff, and so if you don't know, here's a little like tip, okay? So whenever you're camping and you're trying to make a fire, make a teepee. You see how it's like in a triangle shape? See how that? I mean, there's a reason in all the kids' TV shows that like it's a teepee, you know, like the campfire is shaped like, you know, like a pyramid or something. That's how you want to do it.
After some struggle, Austin finally got a fire going, its warm glow flickering in the gloom. As the night set in, he realized the fire would not last through the storm unless he gathered more wood. With the rain pouring down, it felt like a battle against the elements. But it was the only way to keep his campfire alive and provide some comfort as the night deepened.
It's been about 2 hours now since it stopped raining. I still need to find more wood, so I have my headlamp. I just need to find some bits and pieces just to keep it going. We're going pretty strong, but it's getting pretty thin, if you can tell, like down in the bottom of it. You can't really see anything out here, so yeah, I have this flashlight. It's got a good beam on it. So I found a stack of firewood out this way. Okay, you can kind of see that light right there. So that's an outhouse. So if I follow this light, where my light's going here, there's a former campfire that was over here, and somebody left a decent stack of firewood.
Armed with a flashlight, Austin ventured into the dark woods. The trees towered above him, casting long shadows across the ground as he made his way to a nearby campsite where he had spotted a stack of firewood. Just as he reached for the pile, a sudden, deafening crash shattered the silence.
So it was mostly wet. What the? I don't know if you guys just heard that, but like something literally just went boom over there. Holy crap.
A bolt of pure fear shot through him. The sound had come from deep in the woods, and it was too loud, too violent to ignore. He whipped his flashlight around, scanning the darkness, but saw nothing. The woods seemed empty, silent once more.
I'm trying to find a rational explanation too. Like, maybe it was the wood. But it doesn't look any different than when I left. I don't think that this would make that kind of sound. What was that? I hope that showed up like on the... camera. Let's see that. Okay, this is better. Come on. Surely there's not something out here right now. I will be upset. Hello? Oh my god. I would be so upset if there's something out here right now. But that was a very large boom and snap. It sounded like there was something like climbing through something. So it could have been an animal. But I'm praying to God that it was something collapsing in the fire. But it was very, very loud.
His heart raced as he tried to rationalize the sound, hoping it was just a log from his fire that had collapsed, or perhaps a branch breaking in the storm. But deep down, Austin knew that the noise was too intense to be explained away by something as simple as that. It was as though the forest had come alive with an energy that felt hostile, as if something or someone was out there watching him.
So, update. I found out what that crash was earlier. What it was, so I put the sign had fallen down in the middle of the road that said like, safe area, no dogs, no weapons. And so I set it up against one of the tables, like one of the camping tables. So I set it up against that because it was in the middle of the road. And I look over whenever I went out to go to the bathroom or something, and it was laying on the ground. So I was like, wait a minute. That makes sense. It was just a sign the entire time.
For a brief moment, Austin convinced himself that he had found the source. Maybe a branch had fallen, or perhaps it was just a deer nearby. But as the minutes ticked by and the rain began to intensify again, the fear crept back in. The feeling of being watched grew stronger, and he couldn't shake the sense that something was waiting for him just outside the light of his campfire.
Alright, so here's the update. It's almost 1 a.m. and I bagged out of the tent because it's pouring and I got paranoid as hell. I'm not gonna lie. It's freaky out here by yourself. I'm not gonna lie, it's true. But that's okay. I'm warming up this the vehicle here, kind of charging my phone just in case I need to contact anything. I just figured I would be safer and warmer and better off in this van than in a tent. I don't know. It seems like common sense to me. But I'm still out here. Still going strong. I'm trying my hardest to keep going.
By 1 a.m., Austin's nerves were completely frayed. The fear, the uncertainty, and the isolation had broken him. Unable to shake the feeling that he was no longer alone, he abandoned his tent and locked himself inside his van, where he would stay for the rest of the night. His mind raced with questions. Was the crash just a falling sign or something more? Was it just a coincidence that he heard it when he was alone in the woods? Whatever it was, the uncertainty of that night would stay with him long after the storm had passed. It was a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of being alone in the wild. And after Austin's unnerving experience, we move straight on to something just as unsettling. This time in an abandoned cemetery, where the quiet soon turns into something much more disturbing. And that video comes from the creator behind the channel, The Abandoned Camper, who set out on what she thought would be a peaceful stealth camping trip in an abandoned cemetery, dating back to the 1800s. The cemetery, once a place of solemnity and quiet reflection, now stood forgotten, overgrown with vines and weeds. It was July 15th, 2022, and she was excited for another night of solitude, away from the noise and distractions of everyday life. At first, everything seemed perfect. She found a small clearing tucked away in the thick bushes beside the cemetery. Hidden from view, she unpacked her gear, the quiet air surrounding her like a comforting blanket. The stillness of the place felt almost sacred. It was peaceful, tranquil, but there was an unsettling stillness to it, too quiet. Her instincts pricked at the edges of her mind, but she brushed it off. It was a cemetery after all, an old forgotten place where peace should reign. After setting up her camp, she decided to take a walk through the cemetery. The allure of old gravestones, weathered and overgrown, called to her like a piece of forgotten history begging to be captured on film. She wandered among the crumbling stones, her camera capturing the essence of the place, the eerie silence, the sense of time standing still. But that peaceful curiosity didn't last long. As she moved among the gravestones, strange noises began to drift through the air, soft at first, barely noticeable. Then they grew louder, unmistakably human. The sound of branches cracking underfoot, distant voices murmuring, something shifting in the undergrowth. Her instincts kicked in, telling her she wasn't alone. It was an unnerving feeling. She had convinced herself that no one would be wandering through an abandoned cemetery at dusk, especially in such a remote, secluded place. But the noises grew clearer, and her unease intensified. She paused, the hairs on the back of her neck standing up. She glanced over her shoulder, but there was no one in sight. She tried to dismiss the feeling as just the wind playing tricks on her, but a growing sense of dread refused to let her relax. She made her way back toward her campsite, hoping that the walk and the beauty of the cemetery would help shake the unease. But as she approached the clearing, she spotted them, a group of kids in the distance. They weren't close, but close enough that she couldn't ignore them. At first, she thought they might be harmless, just passing by. But something about the way they stood, the way they didn't seem to move, made her question their intentions. Were they just playing, or were they watching her?
Okay, so that dog kind of ruined it. Not ruined it, I shouldn't say that. The dog barking, I didn't want to disturb anybody, especially since I'm not supposed to be here. So I think I'll finish my exploring tomorrow morning, and because there seems to be still a lot of stuff here.
The feeling of being watched intensified. She tried to shake it off, convincing herself they were just innocent kids exploring. But the doubt gnawed at her as the feeling of being followed crept up her spine. She glanced over her shoulder once again, but they were gone, or so she thought. The hairs on her arms stood on end as she quickened her pace, hoping to get back to her camp and settle her nerves. Then came the screams.
I'm gonna keep this recording, just in case. But I'm also gonna stop and find out what they're doing, if they're actually watching me or not. Well, I can see them. I just don't want them to see where I'm going.
The screams were sharp and sudden, echoing through the trees with a raw, piercing intensity. They sent a chill through her entire body, and the sound didn't fade. It only grew louder, getting closer and closer. The kind of scream that crawls under your skin, sending waves of terror through your veins. It felt like something was closing in on her, something she couldn't see but could feel, pressing in from all directions. With every step she took, her senses heightened, every branch that snapped or leaf that rustled, making her more and more alert. The sounds kept coming, reverberating through the dense trees, and she couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was moving with her. As she reached her campsite, she thought that the safety of the familiar would help calm her nerves. But instead, the tension tightened even more. She started a fire to cook a simple meal, hoping the warmth and comfort would ease her fear. But the moment the flames flared to life, everything changed.
I just had to put out the fire because there are people walking around back here. They don't have headlamps on, but like I said in my last video, I do not like being around people in the middle of a forest, especially when it's dark out. So I might pack up and get out of here.
Footsteps, soft but unmistakable, moving through the trees behind her. She paused, her breath catching in her throat, listening. Whispering voices followed, murmuring indistinguishable words, like shadows lurking just beyond the light. It wasn't children this time. The sounds were too deliberate, too unsettling. Her heart pounded as she realized that whoever was out there, they knew exactly where she was. She wasn't alone, not by a long shot. Without hesitation, she extinguished the fire, her hands shaking as she grabbed her gear and silently gathered her things. She had to leave. There was no time to waste. Her heart was in her throat, and her mind raced with fear as she slipped out of the cemetery, moving as quietly as possible, not daring to look back until she was safely away from the trees. The shadows of the cemetery seemed to watch her retreat, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was still lurking behind her. Fortunately, She made it out unharmed, but the encounter left an indelible mark on her. What if she had stayed? What if she hadn't left when she did? The thought haunted her. What or who might have stepped out from the darkness? The cemetery, once an eerie yet peaceful place, had become a living nightmare in the blink of an eye. And the truth was, she'd never truly know what happened that night, or what might have happened if she had stayed until morning. And with that thought lingering, we move on to the following footage from Daniel Mark O'Neill. Better known as the English Woodsman, a British creator who spent years filming the quiet simplicity of solo wild camping across the UK. His channel has never been about pushing survival limits or chasing danger. Instead, it's about the gentle comfort of being alone in nature, simple gear, peaceful evenings, and the honest pleasure of breathing in open air. But in the late summer of 2023, a night that began just like any other would leave him with a lingering sense of unease he couldn't explain. He was planning a short break from YouTube, treating camping like a reset button. No pressure, no production, just a bivy bag close to home. The forest around him was still bathed in evening light, calm and uneventful.
I thought I'd film it, to be fair, for some strange reason. So you can go up there, or you can take this path. You know what, I'm going to stick to path down here. Just keep walking. Now this is what's good about being outdoors. Free food, if I can reach them. Yeah, I don't want that one, do I? I think it's going to focus all right there. It's a bit bad, that one. Very nice.
He picked wild berries on his way in, joked casually about upcoming plans, and filmed the countryside with the effortless ease of someone who had done this 100 times before. Everything about the walk-in felt routine, quiet, grounded, almost meditative.
Just come across these old gates. There must have been something important up there to have gates like this back in the days. I think it does mean keep out, but I won't have a look now. So it looked like a lot of people have been walking this way here because of the path. But that woodland there, it's all fenced off. You know, we can't go in, we can't go in. You know, people might complain about it, but someone's been here. There's a lot of rubbish around here. Yeah, look at the state of this. It does get used, doesn't it? What a mess. Even over here, this is worse. That tells you a lot, that does there.
Deeper into the woods, subtle signs broke that tranquility step by step. Old gates, fresh tracks, bits of litter. Nothing dramatic, but enough to slip into the back of Daniel's mind and stay there.
I think it's like a nice little spot. We've got the sunset in that direction. Slightly out of breath walking that bit of a hill. Very unfit, Daniel. That area. There's been a bit of a fire there previously. But this looks nice. I'm liking this spot.
Daniel eventually found a small hilltop clearing bordered by trees, washed in golden light from the setting sun. He laughed at how close he was camping to home, unpacked his gear, and let the evening settle around him.
What a nice little spot this is. Yeah, it's local. It's not far away from home at all. 20-minute walk maybe it was. fantastic, to be fair.
He sat beneath 2 trees, talking softly to the camera, relaxed, unworried, letting the evening wind carry the moment, until everything shifted.
I didn't want to be tired, and it's going to throw it down Friday night as well, and rain camping is really good. Is that a badger? Hello?
A sharp, deliberate sound cut through the stillness. Slow, heavy footsteps somewhere behind him. Daniel rose instantly, turning the camera toward the noise. But the moment he stood, everything stopped. No movement, no answer when he called out. Just silence thick enough to raise goosebumps. He sat back down, trying to rationalize it. An animal, perhaps, or his imagination. But something about the air felt different now.
I want to play that back and see if I heard that on the camera when I was recording, talking about going away this Friday. Is that a badger? Hello?
Daniel replayed the footage, hoping that he had imagined it, but it hadn't. The rhythm was unmistakable, steady, evenly spaced, human. He tried to continue as if nothing had happened, but the forest was no longer peaceful.
There's that noise again now. Hello? Hello? You got a bit of that. There's nobody here. And it sounds like someone's just walking around.
Again, footsteps, slow, measured, close, and once again they stopped the instant he turned.
I am nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Doing it once is alright, but 2 times, it almost sounded identically the same sort of noise. I don't like this. I don't like this spot. I don't like any of this. If he does it one more time, then I'm moving.
He forced himself to keep talking, trying to sound normal, stirring noodles over the stove, but the tension clung to every movement. The woods around him felt too quiet, too heavy, as if holding its breath.
I'm just going to shake it off and get on with night. I've just heard the noise again, but not as much. I didn't want to turn the camera on, okay? It was just like a quick...
Then it happened one last time. Faint, but unmistakably close. That was enough. Daniel stood abruptly, began packing with hurried, shaky movements. The zippers, the clatter of gear, his uneven breathing. It all revealed what his calm tone tried to hide.
I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I want to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments, but I can't stay here. I'm too unsettled. I'm nervous. I've done camping like this loads of times. I think I'm gonna go find somewhere else to get this bivvy set up. But I'm leaving this spot.
By the time he walked out of the forest, he had regained some composure, but only just. He later told viewers he would still upload the footage, not for drama, but because sometimes things happen outdoors that simply don't have explanations. The pattern of the footsteps was too controlled to be wind, too precise to be wildlife. Whoever, or whatever end was there, had been watching him closely, starting and stopping with unnatural awareness. For someone who found peace in solitude, that night was a chilling reminder. The woods are not always as empty as they seem. From one strange encounter in the woods to another, this time, a camper finds himself in a remote forest where the noise of the night isn't what it seems. For the creator behind Novice Wild Camper, wild camping isn't just a hobby. It's a way to disconnect from the noise of the world and find inner peace in nature's embrace. He enjoys the quiet, the solitude, and the freedom of venturing into the unknown. However, on October 24th, 2023, an ordinary stealth camp in a secluded woodland would quickly turn into a night he would never forget.
This is quite a nice open space up here. Could be a good spot for a hammock. Well, I think I found my spot. I'm going to hang up between these two trees here. There are a couple of houses, probably about 300 yards away, which I don't think own this woodland because it's got open access from the side roads. There's no signage up. So, fingers crossed we'll be alright.
The adventure began in a forest he hadn't explored before. As he walked deeper into the woods, he sought a perfect, peaceful spot away from the usual trail. After some searching, he found 2 trees spaced perfectly for his hammock. It was a quiet, serene location. The air felt fresh, and he set up camp with a deep sense of calm. He laid back in his hammock, allowing the sounds of the forest to surround him.
Keep hearing some weird noises, and not just crunches and cracks, but weird vocal noises as well. Anyway.
As the evening wore on, the peaceful sounds of the woods gradually changed. A strange noise drifted through the trees. It wasn't the usual crunching of twigs or the rustling of leaves. It sounded like low, unsettling vocalizations, distant but clear. They weren't the sounds of any animal he recognized, and a chill ran down his spine. But he tried to brush it off, convincing himself it was just the forest playing tricks on him.
Crashing around that got nearer and nearer and nearer to my hammock. And every time I moved or got out to check, it stopped but didn't run away. So I'd expect if there was a deer or something, I'd hear it.
As the night wore on, the wind picked up and the woods seemed to grow darker. Around 3 a.m., everything changed. The stillness of the night shattered.
A massive, massive thud hits the ground and bounces. And I jumped up, unzipped it, put my torch on, and there's a rock on the floor that wasn't there when I went to bed. And I lay back down, and I'm just laying there listening. Then another one. Then another one. This went on 3 or 4 times at least.
The crashing sounds grew louder and closer, each thud vibrating through the ground beneath him. The noises weren't natural. They were deliberate, echoing from the shadows. Every time he flashed his light toward the sound, it would stop. But whatever was out there wasn't behaving like a typical animal. It wasn't running away. Instead, it was moving closer, circling him in the darkness.
I don't like it here. I'm getting packed up. Stuff the bacon walls.
A sudden, massive thud struck the ground right next to him. His heart raced as he quickly shined his flashlight around. There, lying beside him, was a large rock that hadn't been there before. He hadn't heard it approach, nor had he seen it fall. His mind raced with possibilities, but none of them made sense.
Right, goodbye freaky woods. I'm never coming back here again. In there seemed to be where most of the noise was coming from. God knows.
Paralyzed by fear, he decided to stay put until daylight. The uncertainty of what was lurking in the shadows was too much to bear. And as the first light of morning crept through the trees, he wasted no time packing up his gear and fleeing. His heart was still pounding from the terror he'd experienced. What had happened out there? Was it a prank? A wild animal? Or something far more sinister?
Right, goodbye freaky woods. I'm never coming back here again. In there seemed to be where most of the noise was coming from. God knows.
One thing was for sure. The night had left him with more questions than answers. The woods had been silent and inviting, but now they felt haunted. He would never return to that place again. Now that was all for today, folks. If you enjoyed these horrifying clips, click to see more on the video on screen.